it's my pleasure to bring on, if she's ready here, to bring on Sara from Turning Point USA. There she is. Hello, Sara. Welcome to the program. I'm excited to have you on here because our audience is generally not high school students, but we have a lot of parents who have high school students or grandparents that have high school grand students, if you will, and I just wanted to let them get to know who you are because you're the representative, at least down in the southern part of Idaho, to help explain what Turning Point is doing in high school. So, welcome to the program. How are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm welcome. I'll tell a little bit about myself and kind of what we do. So I'm actually based out of Salt Lake City. I live in Salt Lake, but I cover up to Boise, and then my colleague Allie Schmidt, she covers the rest of Idaho. So us together, we kind of tackle Idaho. Boise, I feel like is a pretty untouched area so far. A lot of my chapters, being that I live in Salt Lake, I have a lot of them down here, but we do have 5 or 6 schools up there with Turning Point chapters. And I love high school. Like you said, you're totally on point. Turning Point has existed since 2012. Charlie Kirk, many of your listeners, if they know Turning Point, that's probably how they know us, by Charlie Kirk. He found that the left they were really focused on young people and getting young students involved, but there wasn't something like that for the right. So he created Turning Point as a nonprofit and an organization where young students could express freedom. We are very constitutional based. Anything Constitution, you're going to find like First Amendment, Second Amendment. We have so many fun like materials for them to engage with. And if anyone's familiar with the college side, it's going to be more like large events, bringing in speakers, things like that, pretty high profile. Sometimes Charlie Kirk will come to like debate the college students. Our high school side is a little more low key. It's just we'll have meetings in classrooms. We have a bunch of financial resources for them. I've done like Second Amendment and laser tag events, for example. We're bringing in an ex-Olympian to come speak about how he got canceled and his freedom and how just he's kind of built himself up. So things like that are a little more on the smaller scale for high school students, but they're still really fun and like easy ways for them to get involved. So that's a brief summary of what we kind of do on the high school side, but I'm happy to keep like elaborating on that and answer any questions that you might have you think would be beneficial for your listeners to know.
Yeah, that's great. Yes, we have seen Charlie Kirk take on those college students. A lot of those videos go viral and such. And I went to a few Turning Point student action summits or whatever they're called, and like the energy at these conferences with these college students is enormous. It's infectious, and one of the and I think the reason being is that we have seen such a push in our colleges and in our high schools into this woke ideology. And I think inherently there are students who, if they're not going to, take all that stuff, hook, line, and sinker, that when they want to push back or they want to speak up and disagree with the ideology because they have their own personal principles that they want to stand up for, they may not know who else believes how they believe and where to turn to and to kind of join forces with some like-minded people. So what has been the reaction when you do approach a high school or a high school student approaches you? Like what's been the excitement when high schoolers realize that they can do it too at their school?
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, they've been all pretty excited. Luckily, I actually grew up in Oregon, so I just moved to this area of the country for this position. So I had an extremely different upbringing, and not upbringing, but the environment that I grew up in, very liberal, obviously.
Were you in Portland?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh boy.
I just graduated from University of Oregon, so also another very liberal place. So I feel like here the reaction has all been very positive to what we're doing. The students are excited. Pretty much what that you said. They're like, wow, we only thought this was college. That's been a really big reaction I've gotten. High school program is only about 2 years old. So
wow.
No one really knew.
And look at that. 2 years old, but look at that. Look at this map. These are all the high school chapters right now?
Yes, we have like 898 high school chapters so far.
Wow.
So
Wow.
that's awesome. Our goal is 1,000 for the year, but I think we'll surpass that for sure between all of us.
Great.
Um, yeah, and they've just been really excited. I really like being in the high school program because a lot of the students, I don't know, they feel like they can't do anything because they're young, they're in high school, but this gives them a way to, yeah, connect with students who they may not have known were conservative or held their same values, or they were too scared to speak up about it. And this just gives them a platform to talk about the issues that they want to, meet other young conservative students. And also, we do host, like, we're open to hosting like debates if students do disagree with what we're doing. Pretty much Turning Point is like what Charlie does. We're trying to encourage healthy discussion because we feel like there's not enough of that now. It's
Ugh,
just kind of screaming matches and telling people you need to believe this and this and this. Otherwise,
yeah.
you're horrible, you're racist, you're this and that. So, yeah, if anyone disagrees with what we're doing at our club, they're welcome to come join a meeting and sit in and learn about what we're going to be talking about. But so far I've had really awesome reactions with the
Great.
high school kids, and I love my kids. So
That's great. That's great. And yes, the civil discourse is the first thing that everybody needs to learn. I mean, I remember when I was in high school, and I can't imagine if this was going to be allowed to today, but I remember being in a government class in high school, and they brought up the topic of abortion, and we decided to have a debate. And so we had some students on one side that were pro-life, and some students on this side that were arguing pro-abortion or pro-choice, I guess you would call it at the time. And
right.
and after the class was over, everybody was still friends, and everybody just went out, and they kind of like, oh, that's what he thinks, that's what he thinks, and nobody was
Wow.
calling each other names or anything, and it was just sort of like, let's continue the debate. And I feel like if that were to happen today, it would, like, they people would be calling the police because somebody got offended when they said the wrong word, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that was my experience going to high school in the Portland area. I even went to a Catholic high school, and we had a teacher who was basically forced to quit or take down his anti-abortion posters. And we were at a Catholic
Wow.
high school, so he quit. He was like, I'm not giving in to
Wow.
you guys," which was pretty cool to see. But yeah, I was a little more radical in high school than I was today. I spoke up about what I believed in, and people were not happy. I got like people told me to kill myself. They were embarrassed to be friends with me because I said people should have IDs to vote, that the government shouldn't impede on
Ugh.
our freedoms. And that was, yeah, so it was pretty bad. But
Wow.
here I found people are a little more neutral. I know it's going sadly down a bad path if we don't step up and do something. But luckily, people aren't super bad like how I experienced in my high school. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Well, let me ask you this, because this program is all about action. Like, we want to make sure that people are able to take away from every segment that we do some sort of action that they can do, and to cut through the noise, right? And so when we had that map up earlier, I noticed that Idaho had, like you said, there's only maybe a couple of chapters currently, and I don't know if
mhm.
is that just a picture map, or can you zoom in on there and click on
You can
those
click on
things?
them, yeah, and
Oh,
see
you
which
can. Oh,
school.
great.
Yeah.
Hey, look at that, guys. Well done. So down in southern Idaho there, obviously along 84, you can see a bunch of those schools there. So which schools are these? Oh, yeah, we can okay, so some of these are college.
Yeah, it's
So
mixed.
walk us through
So
this. Yeah, walk us through this.
yeah, so I don't know if it's completely updated. We do have a separate system where I'm not going to get into it, but they have to like verify their chapter to get on the chapter map. So some might not be on there.
I
But I
see.
know
Okay.
as of right now, I can tell you we have a chapter at Eagle High School. We have one at Fruitland High School, Coal Valley Christian. There's one, and then we also have activism hubs. So if your student is in a homeschool group or a smaller charter school, we work with any type of groups, and they could become an activism hub is what we call it. So we have a few county activism hubs where it's just students from like Canyon County has one. And obviously we can make more of them, but so there's options. You don't have to be in a traditional public school to create a chapter.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and then what are some of the more involvement activities? Where you get kids involved in civics, or you get them, rallying for a cause or something. Like, is there anything that they're
Yeah.
doing, or are they just meeting and discussing ideology?
Yeah, so it's pretty open to anything that they would like to do. But one thing that's really cool is we'll do voter registration drives. That's a pretty common thing I'll do at the school with the students so we can get their fellow classmates like registered to vote at lunch. I know in Utah it's 16 to pre-register. Idaho you might have to be 18, but we could still do like a senior government class. Like I said, we bring in speakers. I think down here we're doing an event. We're going to bring Mike Lee to speak to one of our chapters where they can meet their representatives. We have pretty good connections with them. If they know, oh, we're with Turning Point, we want to host you. So also I get invited to a bunch of like Lincoln Day dinners or like certain counties Republican events, and they're always like, bring your students, come volunteer. So if they are interested in further politics, it's a good way to get their foot in the door, because I constantly have people asking me to bring students, introduce them to kids. They want more young people involved in their activities. So
awesome. Fantastic. Okay. All right, Sara. Well, we've been having your name scroll at the bottom here on how to find you on X, follow you on X and stuff. And wow, even your phone number. Okay. So if you are hopefully that's your work phone number. If you are a parent or a high school student watching this and you want to get your kids involved, you contact Sara. Sara, where else can we tell us how they would contact you and what their next steps would be?
yeah, so yeah, feel free to just shoot me a text or an email or DM me on Instagram. Honestly, any of those I check regularly. This is our page where I kind of showcase what we're doing, what chapters are doing, events that are coming up. So that's a good one to follow, especially for students. Parents can follow that if they want to see what we're doing. Those are some of like the events that we've done, just fun stuff. As for next steps, so to start a chapter, it's really easy. It's just 3 people. And you'd fill out a form that we have online, and then that would give you pretty much instant access to all of our funding, like my resources. And then, yeah, we'd kind of go from there and see what your students are interested, how they want to take it, what they would like to do, and we can go from there. We also have a lot of really cool conferences. In the summer, we have a Young Women's Leadership Conference in San Antonio, June 7th to the 9th, and that one will be so awesome. If you have girls who are interested, that'd be a great like first Turning Point experience, and we can help them get flight assistance, travel, like financial assistance for those as well. But yeah, just reach out to me and we can figure out how to get your students involved if they're interested.
Fantastic. Okay, great. And if you're in North Idaho, you can still contact Sara and she'll just pass you on to Allie up here.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right, Sara. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on today, and we'll be sure to check back in with you and hopefully have you back as well.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, take care. All right, folks, we have Heather Scott joining us. The House has adjourned for the moment. I don't know if they're coming back later today, but we'll take a quick break and we will be back.
It's our job to maintain the proper role of government and what we were tasked to do.